being here.
Okay, it is 2:00. We will call this meeting to order. Any public or committee comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to item 3, Sierra Sands Unified School District, Richmond Elementary School connection fee appeal.
All right, so in your papers there in front of you, there is an agenda item sheet that I put together for this. And then there's also the letter that we received from Sierra Sands. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at that in particular yet, but what they're looking for is relief from the capital facility fee and any additional inspection and plan check fees that would be required. So I'll give you the background on this. They do mention distribution fee, but they're not subject to that in this case. So we were contacted back in 2021 by the architect for this project, and our records indicated we had a 12-inch pipeline there on North Gateway Boulevard that they could connect to. I supplied the as-built to the architect, and we did have a fire flow analysis done with our hydraulic model to be sure that we could provide the fire flow that was necessary for a school. So once that was verified, they did submit plans April of last year, and they also submitted their fee for plan check, inspection, and the fire flow analysis that had been done. And I did approve the plans October of last year. So once they got a contractor on board, the contractor, I don't know, evidently they didn't do any potholing during the design phase. So once the contractor went out to pothole utility connections, it was discovered that the water was not at the tie-in point that they thought it was. They did find sewer, did not find water. So their options, after meeting with them, we told them they can move their tie-in point farther to the south, because we do have a 12-inch pipeline on Gateway there, but it just doesn't go as far north as we thought it did. So they can move it farther to the south, or they could extend that 12-inch pipeline farther north to the original tie-in point. So they decided to go ahead and extend the pipeline farther north to the original tie-in point. So their plans indicate a 3-inch domestic meter. And so connection fees for a 3-inch meter to an existing pipeline, this is what I originally quoted them because we thought we had an existing pipeline, we're at $54,072 for capital facility fee. And then the distribution fee would be $39,719. But because they're going to be installing the pipeline, they're not subject to the distribution system fee. So they would still be on the hook for the $54,072. So current policy would be, we'd also charge some additional plan check and inspection fees. I honestly wasn't planning to charge them any more plan check and inspection fees based on what they already paid. I thought it was sufficient, but if you want to add that into your discussion, that would be fine. They could also get a refund agreement because there is vacant parcel on the west side of North Gateway. And, if someone wants to build a subdivision or an apartment complex or something like that in the future, in the next 10 years after their pipeline is complete, they could get a refund of any distribution system fees that the district would collect. So, and that could be significant, 3 or 4 inch or more meter could be quite a bit of money. So that's where we're at. If you do nothing, they're required to pay the capital facility fee. And if you do want to go ahead and consider the variance, then you would be giving them a variance from paying that capital facility fee.
Thank you. Any comments?
This is the first time I've seen any of this, so I'm reluctant to say much.
Yeah.
Although, quite frankly, I would want to look or delve deeply into why we should be providing any kind of a waiver. Um, anytime we give a waiver to anybody, it means that other people have to pay more. So I'm gonna wanna make sure that, a waiver would be justified, and since I haven't actually read it, um, I, I can't really comment.
And you have time, Stan. It is going to the board, and there will be representatives from the school district at the board meeting also if you have any questions for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my fundamental issue is, um, a waiver has to be justified. And when I read this, I'll look for it in justification. But,
Sure.
Um, we can't give free stuff to anybody and not expect, it to come back on our current ratepayers.
Okay. What is the length of pipe they're gonna extend?
Ooh, I just printed out the plans too. It's more or less 800 feet.
Okay, so it's pretty costly to them to do that. My only thought, Stan, is that if we told them at no fault of any employee, because it was in the plans, or it was on our as-bills, but we told them there was a line there and they had a plan drawn to build. And so I feel we did take a little bit of responsibility there when we said, hey, you can hook in, here's your tie-in point, and go to design with that. So I would be interested in looking at it. I would want to not give them the option, if we did do any type of waiver, to receive funds if somebody else tied into that line in the future. That would all go to the district, because we are gonna be receiving 800 feet of new pipeline that we could get potential new customers on at no cost to the district. So I feel there may be justification. So I would like to look at it a little deeper also.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously, we need to look at it, and it's a shame that it happened,
Yes.
but on the other hand, if we were, anything we approve in terms of a waiver will get put back on our ratepayers, and that's, in my mind, the real issue. May I ask, what school is this for?
It's right on the agenda, Richmond Elementary School.
It's the new one.
The new one.
School that's being built right there on Ridgecrest Boulevard and Gateway.
Yeah, if you haven't gone down there, they're building that
Richmond,
school.
Was that school originally provided water by the Navy?
Yes, it was on the base.
So we are taking over a Navy, what is currently or was a Navy, and sort of as an aside, because it doesn't necessarily directly address this, is we should be looking at a reallocation of our allocation of replenishment fee if we take over some of what was formerly a Navy allocation. I don't know how much water was used, but
Yeah, I don't either, but I know it's for citizens of Ridgecrest. There was no, I mean, there may have been a few kids that were on the Navy premises that went to school there, but the majority of kids were from town that did go to school at Richmond, so.
right. The Navy never paid anything for any allocation, so
I understand that.
my point is, if it's 100 acre feet, which probably is high, that's $200,000 that would be increased in our replenishment fee. And my feeling is that we need separately, on a separate issue, we need to talk to the GA about assuming the allocation that the current Navy currently has for that school, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if they metered their water connections out there. I mean, the school's been closed since the earthquakes in 2019, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's demolished now. But we sort of took it on already because they connected over at the old Viewig School and remodeled that.
Yes.
And that is currently the Richmond Elementary School.
Correct. So we can't really make a recommendation, we'll just have the board look at it. Is there a way, Renee, that you could get a response from Jim to see if any liability for the district, if we could be potentially, if there could be legal action brought by the school district towards us because we did provide them and tell them there was a service there? Because that could be a heavy,
I know. Yeah, he is on vacation, I believe, to the 7th, but the plans do include a clause, just so you know. I'll read it to you. It does say approval of this plan by the Indian Wells Valley Water District does not constitute a representation as to the accuracy of location or the existence or non-existence of any underground utility pipe or structures within the limits of the project.
okay.
So, yes, the school district, the contractor, their designer has some responsibility to verify utility locations during the design process. Also, we do that when we design pipelines.
Okay.
We go out and pothole and verify locations, so.
Well, that sounds like maybe we're okay. Although it still would be worthwhile touching base with Jim,
Yeah,
just to
he is-
verify
he
that the
agrees.
wording is such that we are
Mhm.
off the hook.
Thank you.
I'm sure he'll be looking at it
Can
when
I
he
ask a
gets
point
back.
of clarification?
Yeah.
Just glancing at this, so the additional pipeline that would be built is gonna cost them, how much money, and that becomes district property when they're done? Is that correct?
It is dedicated to the district once they're finished, yes.
And what does that cost them to build?
They don't have that on here. They were claiming $300,000. That's what I heard, but I don't know.
I could say between 250 or.
Part of the dedication process is they have to let us know how much it is.
Yeah, I see down here, it says, when I had discussions with them, I think they said that they were estimating 300 or somewhere between 200 and 300, but that included our fees as well, so.
Okay.
So we can also look at I think it's worth considering, the fact that the district gets what, about 100,000 plus or a couple $100,000 worth of benefit in terms of, construction of that pipeline added to our system as well.
Plus, if we did not allow them to receive money for if we did not allow them to receive money for tying in, we would also have a larger benefit in the future if somebody else tied into our system. So it could win either direction for us. That's my thoughts, so. If
All thoughts for
Stan
discussion.
can think about it and I'll think about it and then we'll.
Well, yeah, and I'm assuming that the board will get the package
Yes.
3 days ahead of time, and that, it's important that they get this information.
It will be in the board package, yes.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll move on to item 4, Inyo Kern Road Transmission Pipeline Repair Update.
The district met with a representative from Underground Solutions to discuss fusible PVC as a possible option. By using that, the pipe is about 1.5 times as much. However, we would only have to daylight in certain sections to be able to slip line the pipe. And first rough numbers look like about $4.5 to $5 million for total completion of the project. So I know that Ty's been working with Cal Muni to discuss financing options using USDA loans or grant, hopefully. And so we're hopeful that we'll have funding here quickly and that we'll be able to move forward with this project and get it back on before next summer.
Now, we were talking at one point in time about talking to that same loan agent, Department of Agriculture, is it?
Yes. Yes.
About the Springer line as well.
If we're able to procure the funding all through USDA loans or grants for the Inyo Kern pipeline, then we can take the money from the state and use that towards Springer pipeline. And that's the current plan and hope.
Okay, so but we're still looking at both.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Jason, was that 4.5 to 5 million contracting it out or in-house? Okay, just so you're clear, it's in-house.
Okay.
We would have the pipeline company do the fusing and all that, and then we would be the ones pulling it through.
Yeah, the fusing is part of the price of the pipe.
Okay.
We all looked at it and I think we're all impressed by the finished product. You basically end up with a 1,000-foot stick of PVC pipe. That's how good the fusing is.
inside, and it'll be encased in a,
inside the CMLC,
Inside the
and also any air pocket is grouted, so there's no way for it to move around.
Okay. So who has the action at this point?
We're waiting to see how quickly we can get funding.
So we're waiting for a response back from the USGA, is that,
USDA.
DA, I mean,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, the Cal Muni representatives are in communication right now, working through the process with USDA to see if we can bypass the pre-application process, which shortens that time frame
Yeah.
for funding.
Great. Okay,
okay, item 5, booster station and tanks project.
I got that. Just making some notes. All right, so the booster station they're working on right now, doing like the pre-startup field testing, electrical testing, all that kind of stuff up there at the booster station. That's what's going on this week. Then the next thing, they're gonna have to go back and do some re-disinfection and flushing of the pump cans and suction discharge piping because they've had issues being able to pass the bacteriological testing just because of the high plate count. So they're gonna start over with that process and do that. The project, we got an update a few days ago. It's scheduled to complete the first week of December. That's when everything would be done, including punch list items, destruction of the old booster station and all that, so. Any questions about the booster station project? No? Okay. So at the college tank, we had some, when we drained it, there was some issues with the floor on the old tank. So we asked J. Cologne Coatings, who had done the recoating on that tank 9 years ago or so, to come up, take a look at it. And they came up last week, did some spot repairs up there and seemed to be okay. They say we should just have it inspected again within the next 5 years. We should be good to go to refill it. So that'll be the next step, disinfection and refilling that tank. And that project's scheduled to be completely done by the end of this month, including all the punch list items.
Any questions? Okay. All right, move to item 6, arsenic treatment facilities.
The shaker has been built by district staff and is currently being used to sift out the media. So we will have that plant online before next season. And plant 2 has been, well, run to death this season. So we'll be taking that offline and going, giving it a thorough once over this off season in preparation, just in case that line does not get done in time, we'll have to run both plants. But current plan is to probably run it until this little next heat snap comes through, and then probably start gearing it down and taking it offline this end of this month.
All right. Okay, 7, cost, operations, and impact of receiving imported water, discussion only.
I'll make some comments. We had a productive meeting with the GA yesterday, and we discussed some technical issues. So while we haven't thrown our hat in the ring to say that we are fully supportive of the imported pipeline project, we did discuss some technical details. So one of the things that was discussed was it would be much more palatable to us from a technical perspective if the pipeline was not only to the water district, but also to either some other user or potentially connected in some way to allow that pump head, because as the water comes down the hill, you have this tremendous head to allow that to be re-injected. There's a couple of advantages that we sort of just bounced back and forth, and one thing was the AVEC plant, when it produces water, sometimes it produces well water that should be fairly compatible with ours, but sometimes has to use surface water, which is not as compatible. And we believe that if we had the option to sort of manage when we accepted water, and if, let's say, for example, we decided we didn't want to accept treated surface water because we thought the water quality would change and cause impacts, that we could maybe redivert that for direct injection. We also discussed the ability to just say, well, we'll we'll stop and we'll use our wells while you're using surface water. And I went back to the GA, and they've asked for a meeting on Thursday or Friday to, what was the terminology they used, to discuss alternatives to the current design. So it sounds like they are at least willing to discuss, because we had talked to Provost and Pritchard, who told us that they were not under contract to consider other options such as injection, but it sounds like the GA itself might be willing to come and discuss with us some options that might make things a lot more palatable for us from both the treatment perspective and what water we accept, and maybe have an alternative way. And we did discuss that it's possible, we don't have hard data, but it's possible that like it would be difficult for us to accept the amount of water that they intend to send to us to achieve sustainability. So I feel like those are positive discussions. As we've said, the other thing that we're really pressing them on and is sort of a full breakdown of costs. So I've spent a lot of time reading through reports and the sustainability plan and the preliminary design review, and trying to gather and understand all of the various costs. I put some of that information together already, and so the next step is to really try to work with the GA to say, like, who's going to pay these costs? I mean, because I think that's critical to what we do here in terms of our facilities and everything else. So like really understanding the impact to, our customers in terms of cost is a big deal. And I know the GA that's not been their focus, but it sounds like they're at least willing to discuss with us.
Okay, I guess I certainly would encourage you to continue doing all the cost work that you're currently doing. I think it's very important that we follow up on that. Also, I'd like to emphasize something else that you said is that, we can't use all the water they want to import. As a matter of fact, our water usage is still going down. And to expect us to not use our own groundwater, which is cheaper than what they want to sell to us, doesn't make sense to our ratepayers. Don't want to trade round number $500 acre foot water with $2,000 acre foot water. That would make no sense to our ratepayers at all. And don't take those numbers literally, because I generically, our own water has got to be cheaper than what we import, no question about it. So I encourage you to keep talking and finding out what they're really doing and what it's really going to cost us. That's the important bottom line.
And I also want to echo that I appreciate you talking, and if we can get as much information as we can, I think it's going to benefit us tremendously, so I appreciate that. Any other comments? Okay, any future agenda items?
Just so you know, I have a placeholder on there just for the Springer Avenue pipeline in the
Okay.
future.
All right.
I would like to ask, is well 33 back online?
No, we sampled it last week. It did not pass the initial sample, so we resampled it today. So we'll find out tomorrow or Thursday if we can turn it back on.
Okay, I guess even though it might be a very short one-liner, I would like to see this committee have a report on a monthly basis until 33 is back up online.
I have full hope that Monday I'll be able to tell you that it's online.
Okay, let's hope that it's just
Or
back up
Tuesday.
online and then we can ignore it.
There you go.
Okay. Also, on the Finance Committee agenda, I noticed a little line that says something about La Mirage infrastructure funding, and I wasn't aware that there was a La Mirage infrastructure issue. And I was curious, is that something that this committee needs to be involved with?
At some point in time, when we actually get to the technical part of it, then yes. But right now, there's looking at the funding part of it.
Well, we have to know what the technical issue is before.
It's old.
Yeah, it's old. It's in the wrong spot. It's underneath the sidewalks and up in the yards. There's lines that run across the street. There's a bunch of issues over there that need to be remedied.
And this project has been
in the general plan.
In the CIP plan for many years, and it keeps getting deferred, later and later. So we thought maybe the state revolving fund program would be a good place to try to get funding for this, because it takes time to get that funding, of course. we
Oh,
know.
absolutely.
So it was just kind of an idea of something we wanted to look at, maybe approaching the SRF program to fund this
Okay.
project.
Basically, Stan, we had sat down and talked about what types of projects might be appropriate for that state revolving fund to go and advocate for money that can be deferred until such a time, and this was the project that sort of rose to the top. So thank you for your input on the state
Okay.
revolving fund, and we will explore that for this project.
Yeah, I guess I would like to know what the history was on how we came about being, or having those lines, because those were originally Navy water lines. And I know that the city at one point in time was saying that they weren't responsible for the sewer lines in that area. I don't know why they were saying that. This is a while ago they were claiming that, but for the same reasoning, are we really responsible for those lines?
I think we adopted those lines in the seventies,
For the-
if I'm
for
not
the-
mistaken.
The pipelines, yes, but there are service laterals out there because the meters will be on one side of the street and the service lateral will go across the street to a residence. And we're not responsible for that lateral that goes across the street. So when you see these things with, leaks in the middle of the road and stuff, that's what's going on. It's the lateral that's leaking and it's not the district's responsibility.
Okay, well, yeah, I just want to make sure that we really are responsible. I mean, the people that are living there obviously need water and they need sewer as well. And I don't know what the basis for the city thinking they weren't responsible, but I would like to have a better feel for what is the history and when did we take it over and what did we promise?
I believe it was in the seventies.
Yeah, well, typically, we.
It was the same time that we took on well 19.
Yeah.
So, it was a while ago. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Stan, if we have anything on that. We don't even have good records as far as built or anything like that over there. So
Yeah. Would Krieger and Stewart have any?
we can look in our file room and see what we have, but yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna have much.
It would be nice to understand, because my understanding is most of the infrastructure in that area was bad when the city and the water district took it over. And were there any caveats associated with us taking it over? I mean, they have been paying their fixed fees for a long time. So we probably are liable, but I'd like to really understand what the issues are.
Okay, all right. If there's no other comments, we will adjourn at 2:28.